Welcome friends, myself Shaptapurni from BioLive. Hope all of you are doing very well. So today we are going to learn about a very important term of ecology, that is keystone species. You may have heard this term before also. So before going into the details, let's take a look on how keystone species differs from dominant species. Remember, whenever we are talking about dominant species, we are talking about their highest abundance in a community and they contribute to the highest biomass in a community. Okay, so dominant species is such a species in a community that has highest abundance. That means they are present in highest number in a community and contributes to the highest biomass. So obviously, whenever a species is contributing to highest biomass, there may be two things. One is if their number is high or their size is larger. Okay, on these two aspects, a species may become the dominant species. But what about keystone species? See here, unlike dominant species, the keystone species have a less abundance. Okay, so they are less abundant species in a community, but their impact is so crucial on these communities such that if they get extinct or their number changes to a greater extent, the whole community may get collapsed. Okay, so though they have a very small number in a community, they are present in a very small number in a community, their impact is very high such that their extinction may lead to the collapse of that community. Okay, so a species that has a disproportionate impact on the community relative to its abundance is referred to as keystone species. Obviously, their abundance is less in a community, but with that less abundance, they have a high impact. Okay, that is why the impact is disproportionate to their relative to their abundance. Okay, so here two things you need to know, that is a keystone species is less abundant in a community, that means they have a less number, but with that less number they have a high impact on the community. Okay, now let's take a look on an example and you will get this thing clearer. Now see, this is a marine kelp forest. Okay, marine ecosystem, marine community found in the Northwest Pacific Ocean. Okay, so see here, this is the sea otter. Sea otter is a keystone species. Why is it a keystone species? We will learn. This is a sea otter and these are the kelp bed or kelp forest. Kelp is nothing but one kind of plant. Okay, and these red things are sea urchin. Now remember, the sea otter eats sea urchin and sea urchin eats kelp. Okay, now this kelp bed is also a home for different types of vertebrate and invertebrate species like fish, like different invertebrate species. Okay, so the presence of a sea otter in this community keeps the number of sea urchin in a limited condition. Okay, they keeps the number of sea urchin less. Okay, so that the sea urchin could not overgraze the kelp forest, and as a result kelp forest may support a variety of biodiversity here like vertebrate and invertebrate species. So see here, the sea otter eats sea urchin and thus they keep the number of sea urchin limited in a marine community. On the other hand, those limited number of sea urchin eats on kelp forest. Though the number of sea urchin is limited, the kelp forest is not destroyed properly. They support a good ecosystem, good habitat for different vertebrate and invertebrate species. But what will happen if we remove this sea otter, the keystone species, from this community? Obviously, for any reason, if the sea otter is removed or get extinct in a community, in a marine community, the number of sea urchin will increase. See here, the red ones, the sea urchin, number of sea urchin is increasing because there is no predation pressure on the sea urchin now. No one can eat them now because there is no sea otter. Okay, so sea urchin, number of sea urchin gets increased very rapidly. As a result, we know that sea urchin feeds on kelp forest. Say they overgraze the kelp forest and as a result the kelp forest or kelp bed gets destroyed. Along with that, the kelp bed based biodiversity of vertebrate and invertebrate species are also getting destroyed. So whenever there is no sea otter or no keystone species in the marine community, that means there is no predation pressure on sea urchin. So the number of sea urchin increases rapidly and they overgraze or they eat the kelp forest vigorously, which leads to destruction of kelp forest due to overgrazing, and as a result loss of kelp bed biodiversity is seen. Okay, you can easily see that how removal of the keystone species from a marine community may impact the whole community. Okay, and how the removal of the keystone species leads to the community destruction. So this is all about the keystone species. So I hope you get this thing very clearer in your mind, and if this video helps you, don't forget to like and share the video, and if you are new to my channel, don't forget to hit the bell button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching and happy learning.